Like I said, on page 92 of your workbooks, starts a little section on percentages. Should say intro to percentages at the top.
Yes.
This is something that is still part of our third unit. Okay, they had a test in the middle of the unit just to kind of split it up. So it's different enough that it's split apart from the other stuff we just did, but it's going to be similar enough that, you know, it's still part of that same unit. So a lot of the things that we've been doing, you'll see will work again. So to start off, this isn't in the book, but you have a percent. If you ever see the word per, each, yeah, per, could be each, every, one, right? So that's per. Cent. What number goes with cent? 100. So if you see $1, you got 100 cents, right? That's why they're, or part of why they're called cents. A century, guess how long a century is? 100 years. A centipede. I don't fully know if that's accurate or not. That's a science question for later, but that's where the name comes from. The cent part means 100. So we got percent is going to be each 100 or every 100. A percentage is a value of a part to whole ratio where the whole is 100. So when it says part to whole, that's, you know, something out of something. All they're doing is basically making it so the whole is 100. The whole part is what's on the bottom. That's the denominator. So you're kind of making like a fraction with the denominator of 100. A percent can be written as a fraction, as I just said. I skipped ahead, I guess, with a denominator of 100. Hey, if I have a fraction of 47 over 100, so if I have 47 over 100, what percent is that? 47. That's how easy that is. Or likewise, if I had 38%, how could I write that as a fraction? 38 over 100. Obviously, you could simplify on there, but, you know, we get the idea. Then, the fractions can be turned into percentages by finding an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. So if I had 3/4 as a fraction, I can change that into a percentage by figuring out an equivalent fraction with a denominator. So look, there's two ways you can look at this. One, that obviously looks just like a proportion, doesn't it? So you can cross multiply and divide. To me, that's going to be the easiest way because it'll work for any of these. With this one, anybody know 4 times what is 100? 25. So 3 times 25. So that 3/4 would be 75%. Most of this we'll just do with proportions though. And you can already kind of see how that works, right? Percentages can be made into decimals by removing the little percent sign and dividing by 100. Basically, when you divide by 100, you move the decimal 2 places to the left. So if we go back, like I said before, I said 47% for one of those, right? So it's saying you remove the percent sign, so you would just have 47, and you divide by 100. Well, if you don't have a calculator or whatever, you can, dividing by 100 is moving the decimal 2 spots to the left. If it's a whole number, remember there's always a decimal after it. So 2 spots to the left means I go 1, 2, So 47% is 0.47. Anybody know how to properly say that decimal? 47 hundredths. And look, 47 hundredths is also how you would probably say that, right? Oh, yeah, we seeing how this is all equal, though? Yeah. Decimals, you got the THs at the end. Always so. Anyhow, so that's one way to do it. The other thing you can do then is go backwards, do the opposite. So what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So if you have a decimal, again, we'll just go with the 0.47. I could multiply by 100, and that will give me my percentage. Or I can take my decimal, and the opposite of left means we're moving it 2 spots to the right. So 1, 2, decimal goes there. So that would just be 47%. Okay? That's not so bad, is it? All right, right here on page 95, I forget exactly what it says. I think they said they did like a survey or whatever for favorite classes or something. So like to write it as a fraction. Oops. I would put 21 over 100. I can't simplify that, so that stays the same. If you could simplify it, you would want to simplify it, okay? To write it as a decimal, we move the decimal spot 1, 2 places to the left, so we got 0.21. Or again, 21 hundredths, right? We see how this works? All right, complete the rest of that table. Simplify if possible on those fractions. Who can tell me science? So we got 7/25 and 0.28. English. 4/25 and 0.16. What's next? Social studies. 13 hundredths and 0.13. Art. Three over 20 and 0.15. And maybe tricky one. Computers. 7 over 100. That wasn't the tricky part. 0.07. You'll notice for 7%, we have a 0 in front of it there. All right? So be aware of that. If it's a single-digit percentage, if it gets changed to a decimal, it's 0.0 whatever, okay? Think of it like cents, right? We said that before. Percentages are kind of like cents. They're out of 100. So if you have 7%, you would write that as 0.07 or 7 cents. All right, so the other thing we're going to do are proportions with this. For the proportions, I've got two basic types that we can kind of look at. You'll sometimes see them called part over whole, and sometimes you see it as is over of. You'll notice the right side stays the same, doesn't it? So for these next, like, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks, where we're working with percentages, every one of these proportions for a percentage problem, we want percent over 100. Does that 100 change ever? No. All right, so we're going to want percent over 100. To me, it's easier if you pick a side and leave it on that side. So let's say the right side, okay? We're going to make our right side percent over 100 every time. Now, I said is over of, right? So if I have is over of equals percent over 100, I can fill in that 100 every time, okay? Do I have a percentage?
Yes.
Yeah, we got 20 there. Percent goes over 100. I said is over of, right? This is saying what is. That means we don't know the is. This is what we're trying to find, the is. Then it says of 60. So is over of. Everybody follow how I set that up. This shouldn't be too tough, right? So you cross multiply, you divide. So you do 60 times 20 divided by 100, and you get 12. Okay? Any questions on that? All right, the next one's a little bit different, but give it a try. 50% of what number is 48? %50 of what number is 48? All right. 96 is correct. Here is why. I have a percentage, right? Percentage, 50. That goes there. It says of what? So if I'm doing is over of what means we don't know the of. And then it says is 48. So the is 48. 48 times 100 divided by 50 gives me 96. Okay? I saw a couple of y'all had that set up a little differently, or not differently, incorrectly, with that 48 on the bottom. We follow why the 48's on top? Yeah, because it's of, or the is. 48's the is. All right, one more, a little different. Give it a try. What percent is 17 out of 25? This is also how, when we take a test or do something, and y'all can stop asking me, hey, what's my grade for this if I got this out of this? This is how you can figure it out. Your grade's the percentage. All right, who's got it? 68 is correct. So look, it's asking what percent. So we got 100. Nothing goes above the 100 because we don't have a percentage. That's what we're trying to find. Is 17 of 25. 17 times 100 divided by 25 gives us 68. Okay? Any questions on those?